The transition from working primarily off of this fleet of external drives to adopting the CreativeSpace platform was actually pretty seamless. I had been in contact with some of the product managers and engineers at the company about implementing that and what it would look like. And there were these long phone calls where they just had me explain our workflow. And I'd actually written some documents for training new employees, and I just shared those with some of the representatives at the company, and they really worked to what we needed. You know, it was, when it came down to it, from an operational perspective, it was really just a matter of taking these kind of one-stop shop 12 terabyte iterations of data that we use for everything from raw photography to the offline edit and VTRs to stock and B-roll sources and sound effects, all of that, and just taking it at the root level and migrating it to CreativeSpace.
So the migration from our previous method of working, which was, as mentioned before, just a series of a lot of hard drives, a lot of local workspaces. The migration of that over to CreativeSpace was wonderful. I will mention that when we first moved on to the network storage, we had planned on moving a lot of our workflow from a mixture of Avid and Premiere and DaVinci to instead move it a lot less onto Avid, to pretty much non-existent. We were going to move a lot of our scripted content from Avid to Premiere. Just as things happened, it landed where we were very much instead going to almost move all of our scripted entirely to Avid, and our unscripted will remain on Premiere. So the migration there was interesting because when we had first met with CreativeSpace and talked to them about everything, we had told them we weren't really going to be working off of Avid.
Our more senior assistant editors were very skeptical that CreativeSpace would be able to integrate having a shared space that works with a Premiere platform and an Avid platform in the same ecosystem. To the end that I actually had a bet with one of them that if they pulled it off or not, that we would go get lunch at a Mexican restaurant across the street. And when they actually did pull it off, I won the bet and, you know, got some Mexican food for lunch that day. Yeah, it was a huge surprise because, I mean, I think especially so with Avid, there's a lot of very proprietary workflow stuff under the hood, and the more you dig into it, the seemingly more complicated it becomes, and you get a lot of question marks of why is it done this way? And a lot of the answers to that question are because it's the way it's done, not because it's the best way to do it. CreativeSpace has been kind of a way to step, you know, in the direction of the right way to do it rather than just the way it's done.
So really quickly we were able to crack that egg, which, I mean, in other places I've been at is actually a really kind of difficult egg to crack. So we were able to move over to that quickly and super efficiently. The way everything in CreativeSpace software side is set up, it's extremely simple and it was pretty much already, you know, aside from a couple little things, it was pretty much already set up to allow Avid to see it as it would a normal Nexus. But there were a couple bugs there that we had to work out, and CreativeSpace was there and on top of it and got us up and running extremely quickly.
I remember the first day that Morgan, I believe one of the senior engineers with the company, came out to do some speed tests and install the Deus Ex in this space. And, you know, we were all kind of skeptical because we'd heard theoretically what was possible. Oftentimes with gear, you know, you hear that and you're, okay, well, theoretically it's, you know, going to be 10 gigs per second transfer, but then you get 2.5 gigs per second. And it's, you know, the real world realization of it is not what was advertised. That actually wasn't the case for us with CreativeSpace. When we plugged it up, we had, I think it was the Blackmagic utility that we had pulled up to check the real world, what we were getting for up and down speeds. And it was as close to theoretical as I've ever seen. It was really, really blazing fast to the end that when we made the transition from direct attached storage to NAS to network attached storage, it made it faster for us. It was kind of an unprecedented experience in that regard. I was used to, you know, losing a generation of speed, like an order of magnitude